Yeah, hi there, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a Toefl IBT. And you made a comment at my website yesterday, and I went ahead and copied and pasted what you wrote into my WordPad so I can answer some of your questions. So you say, please, I'm a Moroccan, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to make some minor editing corrections here so we can you can work on your grammar. So I'm going to use a coordinating conjunction here to connect these two ideas. So you can say please, I'm Moroccan and I want to have a Toefl diploma, but I need to have a test to know my level in English. Then you might end here with a period so you don't have a comma splice. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go to Google and type in these words here. So what is a comma splice and how can you avoid this in writing? So that's something that you can look at, right? Okay, so it says, I know that I haven't a high level maybe put a comma here. You can join these two sentences together, but I want to know if I can have, and maybe here you can say, good pronunciation, speaking, and grammar and writing. Okay, so the answer is yes, of course you can, as long as you practice, right? So the answer there is yes. Your next question, how much money will I pay? To answer this question, my course is $45 a month to use my course, and you can use my course as long as you need it. Some students will use my course for 1 month. Others might use it as many as 6 months. It all depends on how high you want your English skills to go. Think of me as your tutor, your online tutor. So as you do your speaking, pronunciation, and writing practice, I will be giving you either audio or written comments to help you get better. And when you're completing the reading, listening, grammar, and writing lessons, you can actually get a lot of your feedback will be done automatically as you complete the practice test. But generally my course right now is $45 a month. All right, let's take a look at your next question here. You said, how many hours can I study per day? Once you subscribe to my online course, you will have access 24 hours a day to more than 700 lessons, right? These lessons, they focus in vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So as long as you have a good internet connection, you have access, unlimited access to all these lessons every day. So let me show you how it works for just a minute. Okay, so let's say you go to my website and you find one of my independent speaking topics. And then you want to do the practice here. So this is what this student did yesterday. So Meg Delmeda, she completed one of my independent speaking practice test number 53, right? So she recorded her response here.
In my family, I feel closer to my mother. First of all, my mother is a woman like me. For example, When I visit my mother, we can always share girly similarities such as
right? So she recorded an answer to the question here. And so what I do is the next day, it usually takes me, for example, she posted this one day ago and I gave her comments. It looks like about 10 hours ago. So then I will give her comments here. Yo, hi there. These comments are from Meg Delmeda, and I am Michael, the founder owner. Right, so I will give her comments in 3 areas. I will give her comments about her pronunciation. I will give her comments about her language use, including both her vocabulary and her grammar. And I'll also give her topic development comments. So that's how it works. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so you have a pretty good question here. So you say, how can I have good English? So there's really 3 things that you have to do in order to master the English language. Number 1 is you have to practice. Number 2, you have to be motivated to get better. And number 3, you have to practice over an extended period of time. So if you practice over enough time and you stay motivated, you will be able to get better. So that's really the 3 things you have to do. Now you probably want more information than that, am I right? Now what I want to do now is to give you a plan. So I don't know a lot of information about you. I'm assuming that your English skills, based on the writing I'm seeing right now and the feedback you're giving me, your English skills are not that high, right? So you definitely want to make some improvements in there. So this study plan that I'm going to give you right now will show you how you can use my online course over the next few months in order to improve your academic English proficiency. Right, so the first thing that I recommend is after you join my course, I recommend that you focus in the vocabulary, pronunciation, and the grammar sections of my course. This is what you want to do first. Now, when you do the pronunciation part of my course, you need to complete the pretest. You need to do this online. Let me just give you an example. My students also post pronunciation practice at my IBT, my Toefl IBT Voxy Pop group. So this particular student here, he's going by the name of Nikhil 1234. You have to choose a username when you're posting things here. So he completed the pretest. Now, I haven't even listened to this yet. This is brand new. This was posted less than a day ago, 20 hours ago, right? You see this?
Pot, boat, wrong, grow.
So what he's doing is he's taking all the vowel and consonant sounds of American English and he's reading some words out loud on my pretest, and my job is to give him feedback to let him know which sounds he's having more trouble with. That's what I'm going to do, right? So you will also do that as you do your pronunciation practice. Now my recommendation is each day study in all 3 areas of my course. That means you can do vocabulary lesson 1, then you can do pronunciation lesson 1, and then grammar lesson 1. It's probably better you don't focus in just one area because you'll probably burn out and get too bored. Because my course has a lot of lessons and a lot of work. So then once you do those 3 lessons, then you can do vocabulary lesson 2, pronunciation lesson 2, then grammar lesson 2, and on it goes. So for the first 1 or 2 months, you can focus in these 3 sections. That's what you want to do first. Now, once you've completed these 3 sections on my course, then I want you to go to the listening and the reading sections of my course. I'd like you to do this next. Now, this is important. I'm going to explain to you some ways that you can use the listening and the reading parts of my course. First of all, I have a lot of listening and reading practice tests. So you can listen to the lectures, you can read the passages, and then you can answer the questions. That's one way you can do it. Now, in addition to that, as you listen and read the passages, you can also take notes on what you're hearing and what you're reading, and then using your notes, you can speak about the information and you can write about the information. This also helps you with integrated speaking and integrated writing, obviously. Now, as you do the speaking practice, I recommend as you use your notes, I want you to speak for about 60 seconds talking about the lectures and the reading passages. Even I suggest that you record those, your oral summaries, so you can listen to them later on. You'll be surprised at how many errors you can find out when you re-listen to something you've already said, if you record it. So then, once you've done the listening and the reading practices I've outlined in this video, then you can go to the next part. You can now begin completing writing and speaking lessons, I think, which is also going to be very, very helpful for you. Now, my recommendation is, as you do these three things, right, this will probably take you several months based on your English level right now. I'm guessing maybe 3 or 4 months. And remember, during this time, you can email me at any time for any reason. If you need some support or some motivation, you can send me a quick message and I will help you as best I can. Now remember, as you do pronunciation, writing, and speaking practice, that's when I will talk to you, just like I showed you here. You remember, as these students were completing their speaking at my VoxyPop discussion group, I record audio responses to their speaking the next day. So even though they never meet me face to face and I never see my students in person, they will get comments online. Right? Now here's one more thing I want to recommend here. The fourth thing for you is I recommend that you take a TOEFL IBT full-length practice test, probably in about 3 months, and that way you can mark your level for right now. As you said in the comments you made on my website, you have not taken the TOEFL test, so you're not aware of what your level is. So in about 3 months, you can take a full-length IBT practice test. If you go to my website, you can go to the 8th section of my course, and I have a link that will send you to another website, and you can register to take a full-length IBT practice test. Now, why would you do this? First of all, it's a lot cheaper than the actual TOEFL exam, right? And if you take the practice test, it only costs about $30 to do it, and it's a lot less expensive than $200. Am I right? Now, also, by taking the practice test, you become more familiar with the structure and the format of the TOEFL IBT exam. That's a good thing. Also, you practice the stamina and the endurance that you need to take a 5-hour English test. How boring is that? That's what you want to do, right? You want to take a 5-hour English test. It's a good idea that you do a practice test before you pay the $200 to take the TOEFL exam. So you'll get a little bit better at that. So those are my suggestions for you. So your suggestion is, first of all, you can complete the vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar sections of my course. Second of all, then you can complete the listening and the reading sections. And finally, you can do the writing and the speaking lessons of my course. Now, you probably won't finish all this in 3 months, but in about 3 months, you can take a full-length IBT practice test. Then you will get an overall score, and you'll get subtotals in the reading, listening, speaking, and writing sections, and then you can make a decision. So let's say that you get 65 out of 120. Is that close to your goal? Is that where you want to be? If the answer is no, then you continue to use my online course for more time. The longer you use it, the higher the score that you will get on the TOEFL IBT exam. All right, and there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for your comments. And there's one more thing that you said that I'd like to comment on here. So you said I would change this to not had. I would say I am 58 years old. Then you might use so I need more time than maybe younger students, you might say. You know, it's interesting. And I don't know if I completely agree with what you're saying here. I really believe, and keep in mind that I was about 20 years old when I learned Spanish for the first time. And it was difficult, but I learned it. And I learned it in about 2 years. I learned to speak Spanish fluently in 2 years, and I got a 4-year degree in Spanish. So I believe that you can learn the language just as effectively as younger people can, but here's the issue that you're dealing with as an older person, right? And keep in mind, I'm 50 years old myself, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you. When you're older, you have a lot more responsibilities. You have a full-time job. You have a family probably. You have a lot of things going on. And all of these things are competing interests that make it difficult for you to set aside time each day to study English. That's part of the issue. So, but if you sit down and if you study English, 3 hours every day, right? And you got a younger person who sits down and studies English for 3 hours every day. If you guys both study exactly the same amount of time, I believe that you can probably learn the language just as effective, right? It's just a matter of practice. At least that's part of my philosophy. So you can learn the language. The key is, because you're older, you probably have a lot more responsibilities. You have to be serious. If you're too busy and you're not very serious or motivated about learning English, I do not suggest that you take my online Toefl course, because you will simply be wasting your time. Now, if you have time each day and you can set that time aside for Toefl study, then my online course will be very, very useful for you. Because remember, the only way I can help you is if you post speaking practice tests like these guys. You see these students? So if you post speaking practice tests and pronunciation practice, for example, where is this guy? Here, Ben Chen, he just did some pronunciation practice with sentence rhythm 2 days ago. If you're posting the practice, then you're getting the feedback from me and you're going to get better. But if you're not doing any practice, there's really no way I can help you. So make sure you practice. That's the main thing, is you have to set aside time each day to practice and do Toefl study. All right? Anyway, thank you very much for all of your comments and your questions. And all the best to your high-scoring Toefl success.